Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.
Sports on Tap. This is the high school football recap show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance, located in beautiful Hudson, Ohio. You got to hear about him and all of our other fantastic sponsors. Make sure you stick around a little bit later in the show for another word from Raymond Felton and our sponsors as well. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Dr. Hoops is back, Noah Jacobson, and Professor Hype, Sean Duffy. Again, this is the high school football recap show. You're watching us live on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe and get those notifications when we're about to go onto the air. We are also on Facebook at Sports on Tap. We are on Spotify at Sports on Tap as well. We're on Threads at SOT_podcasts. And our Twitter/X handle is at SOT Podcast. Make sure you also, our website has all the pertinent information, sportsontap.podcast.com. And any questions, comments, concerns, smart remarks, pronunciations, suggestions, life tips, send them to sportsontap.podcast at gmail.com. The regional championships have been decided. And for the Sports on Tap specific groups, unfortunately for us, it keeps whittling down. We do have, we knew that was going to happen in one game because it was SOT on SOT crime there in Division 2, Region 6. But Division 1, Region 1 also had a battle, which Josh will take care of here in a little bit. And then Sean will go over the Division 2, Region 6 championship with a little bit of help from Rob there. Noah's going to give some help with Josh on the Menor recap. Big props to Josh and Sean, by the way, for braving the elements in their games. We've been blessed with some really good weather this year, but when it hasn't been good, it really hasn't been good. So big props to Josh and Sean for providing you the content that you need, that you want in live in real time. So we're gonna go through. We are gonna go through the games, the division, the 6 championship games that mostly affect our coverage area, and then we're also going to. We do not have a guest on this week, so we'll. But we are looking. We will have a couple guests on next week. We're still working through the times. Make sure you're following us on all our social media accounts to find out when we're going to be on this coming week. The Browns do play Monday night, so there's a potential we may make some adjustments. But again, follow us on Twitter, follow us on our social medias, and find out exactly when we're going to be on this coming week. And then we have a couple shout outs as we've started to do. We'll do that here in a little bit, and then hockey's ramping up as well. So as most of you know, we are the media partner for the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. And we will be doing play-by-play live streaming of select games throughout the course of the season, one of which happens next week. So more information on that will come here in a little bit. But with that, let's get down to business here. We had 6 regional championships that affect our area. We're directly involved in 2 of them from an SOT standpoint. Division 1, Region 1, the big school division. The number 1 seed, the Menor Cardinals, undefeated Greater Cleveland Conference champions, versus the number 7 seed, the St. Edward Eagles, the reigning, defending, 3-time Division 1 state champions. Something had to give here. Josh was there to tell us about it. Josh, why don't you take this one away?
Oh, thanks, Ed. And yes, I was there. And Ed, you're not lying about the weather. And I'm not usually one to complain too much about the weather, but the weather that we had on Friday night in Bedford for this regional final game between these 2 teams was a quarterback's worst nightmare. So when I got there about 5:45. Specialist quarterbacks, receivers were out there early, trying to just get used to this weather because it was windy and rainy, no joke, all night. I know, looking at the radar on the west side, there was a little bit of a break. East side, though, no breaks at all. And that played havoc in this game, especially when it comes to the passing game. Scotty Fox was having a hard time. And during this game, St. Ed's didn't even complete 1 pass in this game. So you could tell that's how it was going to be. But the last time these 2 teams met was 2022 in the regional final. Eds came away with a 27-0 victory. Menor was looking to avenge that defeat of a couple years ago, but they did get the scoring off. They scored first. Scotty Fox at the 4:09 mark of the first quarter. He ran it in from 31 yards out, the extra point. Not only was passing an adventure, but kicking was also an adventure in this game as well. But the extra point was good. Menor was up 7-0 early in this game. Shortly after, no more than 2 plays later, running back Bradley Eaton for Eds ran it 80 yards to score for his first of his 2 touchdowns in this game. His second touchdown came with a 69-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. The extra point for that was botched. So the score ended up being 13-7 through halftime. Both teams' defenses were really on point in this one with the help of the weather. You can't hide the fact that the weather played a major role in this game, and it really helped the defense. A lot of stops on fourth down, turnover on downs, and really both teams in the second half could really get nothing going on the offensive end until late in this game. The fourth quarter, Menor started getting something going on the offensive end. In fact, they were facing a 4th and 5 with less than 2 minutes left, and Scotty Fox hit Jackson Farley on a halfback screen pass. That went for 26 yards. So the momentum was kind of shifting towards Menor, and you kind of had a feeling that they were looking to go ahead and score and possibly take the lead and win this game. However, a couple plays later, they tried the same exact play, but it was Ed's defensive end, Colton Fee, who read the play, intercepted the ball, essentially ending the game, conserving the victory for Eds. Eds goes on to win 13-7. Menor finishes the season 13-1. Really tough matchup here. Scotty Fox finished with 122 yards passing. Jackson Farley finished with 176 yards rushing and that 1 touchdown. But Bradley Eaton, 3-year starter on defense, never played running back before this season. In this game, he ended up having 19 carries for 181 yards and those 2 touchdowns. So just a great effort by him. Eds moves on again. They're in search of their 4th straight state championship, I believe, and they're well on their way. But again, great season by Menor. I was really hoping that the weather would hold off, because I would like to see how these 2 teams would play on a dry field, dry conditions, because I really think Menor had a good shot to beat Eds. But just the weather was a determining factor and really got Menor out of their game in this one.
Yeah, and Josh, great job on the coverage. Want to give you a shout out, especially with the phone and trying to get video highlights. We've all had not great weather, and it is tough to get good video, especially when it's a monsoon out there. And you could tell by the look of these highlights, the rain was coming down. But I agree with you. I mean, it's too bad that this rain took. You could tell Scotty Fox was a little bit out of sync, because he likes to run, he likes to pass. They have weapons all over the place. And it was, in a lot of areas, it was a lot of running football.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of shout-outs, I want to give a shout-out to Mako Custom Apparel, who made our jackets for the event. I mean, they for the most part did their job, but the amount of rain that we had in Bedford, my heavy jacket went from a weather-resistant to a weather-logged, because it was soaked. I came home, hung it up, downstairs in the basement, just water was just dripping off the sleeve. I probably had an inch of water in the bucket that it was underneath, but it dried up quickly, kept me dry for the most part, kept my phone dry for the most part, which is the most important thing. But props to both teams, too. It was a tough battle, and props to the fans and the band who showed up. Just it was tough for everyone there. Just props to Eds for doing just enough to get this victory.
And Noah, anything you want to add from the Menor side?
Yes, definitely. And I feel like this was the very evenly matchup between Coach Lombardo and Coach Gray. But unfortunately, Coach Lombardo would get his edge going up against Coach Gray again in the regional finals, as they would get the victory 13-7. But what a career for Scotty Fox, the West Virginia commit who's going there next year. He finishes his 2024 season with 2,638 yards and 33 touchdowns. That just shows why he is a West Virginia commit going into next year. And really helps when you get your running back, Dominic Burns and Justin Hodge, back in 2025 for the Menor Cardinals. That just shows why you have all these type of players coming back for the Menor Cardinals. But this year was a great year for the Menor Cardinals. Like I said, they were 13-1. They won the GCC. And it's been great covering the Menor Cardinals for few games and even throughout the playoff run this year. So again, congratulations to Coach Gray and the Manor Cardinals on a great season, but unfortunately, they just came up short to the St. Edward Eagles, the three-time state champs, 13-3 in the Division I, Region 1 regional finals.
And with that, that is gonna kind of do it for the Sports on Tap representation in Division One. We'll talk about the semifinals here in a little bit. Let's shift over to Division Two, Region 5, and this was the matchup you probably wanted to see. It was a rematch of a game 7 weeks ago, where Walsh Jesuit beat Archbishop Hoban. This time around, Hoban gets the win, 21-7. They did they took care of business. When it's playoff time, it's usually Hoban time, and Walsh Jesuit found that out pretty efficiently there. A couple of stats. We talked about this player last week, Brayton Feister. This dude's a sophomore, like it's unreal. He ran 38 times for 262 yards in all 3 of Hoban's touchdowns.
Jeez.
over Kellen Motton and Walsh Jesuit. You had a feeling it was going to take a Herculean effort to take out Walsh with how well Walsh has played this year, and that's exactly what happened. So congratulations to Hoban. The Knights move on. They win their region again for the umpteenth time in the last 10 years, and they're going to take on the winner of our next battle in Division 2, Region 6. Sean was at this game in Elyria. The number 1 seed, the undefeated Southwestern Conference champion Avon Eagles versus the undefeated Suburban League American Division champions, the Highland Hornets. Sean has the action. Sean, tell us about it.
Thank you, Ed. And on a cold, windy, rainy night in Elyria, the Avon Eagles and the Highland Hornets locked horns for the 2nd straight time in the regional finals, 6th time overall. The Eagles came out swinging first with from the first play of scrimmage, Nolan Good took the ball 65 yards for a touchdown, making the score 7-0. Now, guys, Josh mentioned this in the beginning. Kicking was a bit of a factor, but I didn't really have the high winds until later in the second half, and that'll peek its head around here as we get through this. On the ensuing kickoff, Highland would muff the kickoff punt, and Avon would recover. This, of course, led to a very methodical drive down, and Tyler Kaufman, running back for Avon, would punch it in for the Eagles, and all of a sudden the Eagles are up 14-0, and that would be the score at the end of the first quarter. Matt Maxey would open up the second quarter with a 58-yard touchdown run to make the score 21-0. And if you're a Highland fan, you're thinking, whoa, what's going on with our defense? And really what was happening here was Avon was attacking the perimeter of this Highland defense. And I think that, along with some of the footing, some of the wetness of the field, really gave Highland some problems early on. It took them a while to adjust to this, and credit to Avon for having that plan and using the perimeter and the speed on the outside to really kind of put the Highland defense on their heels. Highland would eventually find the end zone late in the first half as Casey Miser would score from about 15 yards out with a typical Casey Miser run. He had 5 guys hanging on him, and he was able to cross the goal line. But Avon would take a 21-7 lead into the half. Highland would open the third quarter with the ball, and they would take a very long, methodical drive that would also be a beneficial one, having Casey Miser score his second touchdown of the game. And all of a sudden, that game now became a one-possession game, 21-14 in favor of Avon. Avon quarterback Nolan Good would extend Avon's lead with a very long, methodical drive of their own, and he would score his second touchdown of the night. And increase Avon's lead 28-14. 28-14 early in the fourth quarter. And Highland's Casey Miser, this guy had himself a night, had his 3rd touchdown in the fourth quarter to bring this game to 28-20. Why 28-20? Well, as the second half progressed, the rain, the wind, everything kind of really started to hit the Elyria Stadium, and Avon's defensively was able to block the extra point for Highland, creating a situation now where Highland had to turn the ball back over to Avon on the kickoff, force a 3-and-out or force a punt, and then go down and score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion to tie the game. They were able to do one of those things, and that was force Avon to punt. Credit the Highland defense here. They really did kind of dial in here in the second, pretty much from the second quarter on, only allowing 2 touchdowns against, to their 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, they had already spotted them 2 touchdowns early in the game. Highland's defense would force Avon to punt, and Highland offense did have one last shot to tie the game. But again, Avon's defense was really, really dialed in here for this final drive. They forced a couple tackle for losses. I believe there was a sack on this drive, but also there was a interception that sealed the game for Avon by none other than last week's guest, Jacob Witherspoon. The guy was on our show. He turns in a primetime performance. Fantastic, fantastic. It was not without controversy. Coach Gibbons was very upset about a missed call. I didn't really understand. I didn't really get to hear understand what the issue was, but the entire coaching staff for Highland was very upset with the officiating on that last drive. I don't, again, with the wind, the rain, it was very difficult to keep anything really from showing out. But Avon would take that interception and really salt away this game, and that would be it. And Avon would get the 28-20 victory over Highland to get their second consecutive Division II Region 6 championship. This is the second straight time that Highland's lost to Avon. It's their 6th straight loss to Avon. You just feel bad for the Highland Hornets. They did everything they could, but again, Josh mentioned it when he was talking about Menor. The weather was the great equalizer here. It was wet. It was rainy. Again, it came down to one of those things that you're not normally seeing from a Highland team, and that's mistakes. And they made some mistakes early in that game, and they just could not overcome them. They did everything they could to get back in that game, but unfortunately, Avon is there for a reason. They've been in tight games all year, which Highland really hasn't been. Avon was in a tight game with Glenville. Avon had a couple of tight games with St. Ignatius early in this game. This was not unknown to them, whereas Highland really has not been in a very tight game over the course of the year. And I'm not sure if that was something that, really played a factor. But again, Avon understood they came back from a 21-zip deficit against Olmsted Falls 2 weeks ago, and they were able to do it. So nothing really phased Avon. They just kind of went about their business, very workmanlike. Some stats here for Highland. I'm sorry, let's just go back here. The Highland does finish their historic season. The Hornets finished 12-1. They are the Suburban League American Division champions. Some stats from the game: running back Casey Meiser, who is a junior, is coming back next year. Finished the game with 113 total yards. He did have 3 rushing touchdowns on the night. Dylan Borla did go 15 of 29 for 179 yards, but unfortunately, we talked about it. We talked about it all throughout the playoffs. You cannot make mistakes in the playoffs against good teams. He did. He had an interception. There was the muffed kickoff return early in the game that played against the Hornets. You feel bad for the Highland Hornets, but nothing to hang their head about. Again, they got to this situation and played Avon. Coach Gibbons, by all accounts, was very, very emotional after the game. I tried to stay as much as I could to catch that, but at that point my phone wasn't working. It was waterlogged. It didn't even charge that night. But Coach Gibbons was very upset because, again, this senior class has been a special one for the Highland Hornets. And it's going to be a test to this program because they're losing their entire offensive line and defensive line. This is courtesy of some of the research I did from Cleveland.com, who did a very good job of pointing this out. Casey Meiser is coming back, but you don't have your starting quarterback in Borla. You don't have your offensive or defensive line. So we're going to see what kind of Highland Hornets team we have coming into next year. But again, when you have Casey Meiser, who is a brutal runner, I mean, this guy is talented and holds these records for a reason. It's tough to bring this kid down. Taking nothing away from the Avon team, who did everything they were supposed to do and never really got to, even when the game got close, was never really pressing. They just understood the assignment. And Coach Elder talked about that. He said, we understand the assignment. And now they understand the assignment. They have to go on to the state semifinals with a matchup against Hoban. And they're looking to not have history repeat itself, because last year against Hoban, they did not play well. and that ended their season on a bitter note as well. So Avon understands the assignment, and they beat Highland. Now they get the prize, which is going up against Hoban, and we'll talk about that in the semifinals. Rob, do you have any stats for the Avon team, for the Avon side?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this game went because Nolan Good really didn't pass very much. He only had 45 passing yards in this game, but he had 119 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Very even offensively, both of these teams, but you could tell Highland was more balanced, I thought, offensively, where Avon was a lot of running. I mean, Matt Maxey had 2 rushes for 82 yards and a touchdown, one being that 58-yard touchdown run. Tyler Kaufman, 11 rushes, 71 yards and a touchdown. What a game for Avon. They win it a lot of different ways, and I think that's what you explained really well, Sean, is they were in a lot of close games early on in the season. Canton McKinley was another one that was a 7-point game. But when you look at the games they played, they were pretty dominant in the SWC for the most part. But, they did a really good job on Highland. Watching your highlight video, you can go on our YouTube page and watch all the highlights there. Overall, I just thought what it showed was, Highland still, Casey Miser, he can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run the football. He can really do it all for this team. And I was pretty impressed watching him, and he's going to be a dynamic player next year. But Avon, they contained the Highland offense pretty well, I thought. You went through it. 3 touchdowns by Casey Miser. That's pretty impressive. The big key was, though, Jacob Weatherspoon, who we had on, you mentioned, he blocked that extra point, and then he sealed the game with an interception at the end that's in your highlight video there. The kid has a good knack for the ball, and Coach Elder's got to be pretty happy. Highland's a very good team. We know how it goes against, Akron Archbishop Hoban. This is the one they're going to really focus on this week now. But that was a tough physical game, especially in the rain, like you said. You wish it wouldn't rain. You'd like to see these kids play with, without the wet weather, because I think it would have been interesting in both of these games. But, they dealt with it the best they could, and Avon just outlasted Highland there.
Well, you mentioned that, and I think in the game that Josh covered, I absolutely think the weather was a detriment to the scoring. In this game, I don't necessarily think that would be the case, because they were having success running against Highland's defense on the perimeter. And they threw the ball when they had to, but they didn't really have to in this game. And the one thing I want to shout out again is Avon's defense holding Highland to, I think, 3, maybe 4 times throughout the game, stopping them on 4th down when they were deep in Avon's territory. So I don't necessarily think we've probably seen a couple more touchdowns through the air, maybe, but this was still a pretty kind of by the book Avon Highland performance. Avon can do it. Highland's been doing it running the ball all season. They just unfortunately ran into a defense that was prepared for it, and then ran into an offense that knew how to run essentially away from the strength of that Highland defense, which was the middle. They didn't have success running up the middle. Keontae Smith was turned back several times. It was only when they found success on the outside when they were able to kind of put Highland linebackers on skates.
Well, and you mentioned it. There weren't really when I looked at this game, there weren't very many penalties in this game. I think a few per. I think there were a few per team, but for the most part, it was a pretty well played game by both sides. That they limited the amount of penalties they had. Like you said, Avon's a team that doesn't necessarily they can throw a lot, but a lot of times they're pretty balanced. So it can go either way depending on game script as the game goes. And I thought in this game, and you were there, that obviously they saw something with the running game, and you could see the lanes for Tyler Kaufman. When he ran through it, he hit it solid and he was gone. Yeah. So give credit to the Avon offensive line, Jeremiah Kelly, and I know there's a bunch of other guys who have done it and been there, but they know how to get it done.
Yeah, and one outside of Nolan Good's, you know, game play one big time touchdown run, I was, and I think I got a pretty good angle of it. But Matt Maxey, when he hit that on the outside, it was, I mean, burning down the sideline. That kid's got an extra gear when he gets loose. Even when he's running a route or when he has the ball and he gets loose, it's like he turns on another gear, man. He ran away from a lot of fast people on the Highland defense. Matt Maxey was very impressive. I know he only had the one touchdown, but he had some chunk plays for the Eagles all night. And he was really kind of a security blanket for Nolan Good when they did pass. A lot of those passes did go to Matt Maxey, did go to Tyler Kaufman, and I think Keontae Smith had a pass reception as well. But here we go, more of the same. Avon versus Hoban in the state semifinals.
And only one more thing. Congratulations to Avon head coach Mike Elder. He got his 200th win in his 18th season at Avon, and it's his 250th win overall at Avon in 18 seasons there. So congratulations to Coach Elder. I'm sure he's not really too worried about the wins, but I mean, I think it says a lot, and it's really impressive for him to reach 200 there and 250 overall. That's pretty crazy.
Pretty good. That is pretty good. It's kind of trending toward Larry Karras territory for those of you who are familiar with Division III football in Mount Union as well. Sean, great job. Rob, great job with the color there as well. Avon again gets the win over Highland in Division II, Region 6. All right, quickly, the last three, we'll go through these pretty quick. Division III, Region 9, another chalk matchup up here. Youngstown Ursuline took on Gilmore Academy, and Youngstown Ursuline took out Gilmore Academy. This was not probably not the game that the folks from Gilmore wanted to see, but nonetheless, Ursuline is they're playing on another level right now, and they get a 54-0 victory over Gilmore Academy. Youngstown Ursuline advances to the Division III state semifinals, where they will take on the champions of Division III Region 10, the Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish. They get a 45-7 victory over Padua. This game, Padua had the lead in this game. If you believe it, they were up 7-6 early in the first quarter, but once Central Catholic got an idea of what they were up against, they made some adjustments, and they're the more talented team overall. There's just no question about that. That does spell the end of the high school career for Padua running back Roderick Love. He rushed for 113 yards and a touchdown. But really, once the second half happened, there wasn't a whole lot of room for him to operate. And a great story by Padua. I read in the paper, in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Their coach had this Kevin Kubitz. He felt pretty good about their team last year, and they had just missed the playoffs in 2023 by the slimmest of margins. And they were able to get into the playoffs this year, and they certainly did some damage. So congratulations to the Padua Bruins on their season. Their season ends at I believe they were 8-6. Toledo Central Catholic improves to 13-1. And last and certainly not least, Sandusky Perkins took out Ontario. This game was on TV. I was watching a little bit of this game. This was a great game. You don't see Sandusky Perkins get pushed too much. But Ontario. No, they were playing Shelby, didn't they? What did they play?
Shelby.
Oh, Shelby. Yeah, it was Shelby. Oh, I had Ontario written down. Sorry. Shelby gave them all they could. It was Ontario. Yeah, it was Ontario.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it was Ontario.
Ed, you watched
Ontario
the game.
Beat Shelby to get here.
Watch the game.
I did watch the game, and then I double bet. I was kind of watching the game. I was watching Menor at the same time I was watching this game.
Yeah, I did watch Menor and St. Ed's. That was on Spectrum.
Yes, that was on Spectrum, and this game was on the Mansfield channel 20 on Spectrum. This game was great, and Ontario gave Perkins everything they could handle. Perkins gets the win, 28-21. They will advance in the Division IV state semifinals. So that's what we got for our recaps for the regional championships in Week 14. We'll go through the state semifinals that we have so far. And unfortunately, most of our teams are no longer here. I don't know if so. Division 1, we'll start there. Lakewood St. Ed's the number 7 seed. They will take on the number 1 seed out of Division 1 Region 3, Olentangy Liberty. That game will be played at Mansfield Ireland Field. The Region 4 champions, Archbishop Moeller, 13-1. They will take on Centerville, the Region 2 champions, at Princeton Jake Sweeney Automotive Stadium down in Cincinnati. Division 2, Sunbury Walnut defeated Massillon, Washington. We will not have a repeat winner in Division 2. So they are the Region 7 champions. They will take on the Region 8 champions, Cincinnati Anderson. Anderson is undefeated. That game will be played at Dayton Welcome Stadium. Again, real quick, all these games are being played Friday night at 7 p.m. So it's important to note that. Hoban, 12-2 overall. Archbishop Hoban will take on Avon, 14-0 at the University of Akron Infocision Stadium. I got another bone to pick with the OHSAA. We had this battle last year around this time when Padua took on Holy Name, and instead of that game being played in Padua at Parma Byers Field, they had to go to like Maple Heights or something like that. I don't understand why Avon has to go to Akron to play a game against an Akron team. That makes zero sense to me. The only thing that I could justify this with is that these sites were maybe predetermined, and this is how it shook out. And if that's the case, that's fair. But that's not the case. There is zero reason this game should not have been played in Brunswick, Strongsville, Medina, anywhere that would have been remotely close to where Avon is. They're the number 1 team in the state right now. Hoban lost last year, so they lost that thing. They lost that title. It's a new season. Avon's an overall number 1 seed, I think. They should have a game that's a little bit closer to them. So that's what I needed to say. So OHSAA, you can block me again. Any correspondence you have, you can send it to Ed Dick, here of Sports on Tap Podcast. I'm happy.
I would point out. I'm happy
to have a knockdown, drag out affair with you guys for forcing this to happen.
All right. Well, just devil's advocate here,
please,
before we move on. Now, it very well could have been that this is one of the sites selected for this particular matchup. But also, I think most of us have played high school football and realize that as you get further into the playoffs, the venues have to be a certain capacity because it's usually bigger. So you're going to go – because, I mean, let's be honest, Sunbury versus Anderson in Dayton at Welcome Stadium, that's playing at a college campus. So wouldn't you also think that – I mean, could they have played at Kent? Absolutely. But that would have been unfair to both teams. So maybe they're looking at the biggest college stadium available, which would have been and is Infocision Stadium where the Akron Zips play. I mean, as we see, they play in a quote unquote, big venue situation. Also, we don't know if those other stadiums that you're talking about, Brunswick, Strongsville, are used for other state semifinals for a division like a Division 7 or a Division 3 or Division 5. Because those are in between those. So again, while Ed has a very good point and it shook out that Akron Archbishop Hoban is basically having to get in. They don't even need to take a bus. They can walk down the damn street to go play Avon. And Avon, meanwhile, has to get a bus and trans all the way down to Akron. Wildly unfair. I don't know that this was I don't know if they actually have that discussion or if it's already predetermined. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's already like they've set this out. Because, again, that does take some logistics to get that stuff together.
And
you can't just drop that on them a week before.
And the only other thing is maybe they needed a stadium that's more that can hold a little more people, too. I'm not sure how many. I think we talked, Brunswick holds 8,000. So, I mean, that's a lot of people. But I'm not sure if they're looking for some capacity that holds, I don't know, 10 to 20,000, people, which is Akron, that stadium I know can hold some people. So it could be that as well. It's kind of tough to say, obviously, unless you talk to the people.
We know it can hold some people, but I've never seen it hold people because Akron sucks. I've never seen. I mean, this may be the moneymaker for the University of Akron to justify that field for all we know. But let's be honest, because they ain't bringing it in on Saturday. Sorry, Zip fans, you don't have a good football team. Let's just
they're trying to get there. All right.
Well,
they're trying to turn that program
around. Ain't no Falcons, I can tell you that. They're no Falcons.
Rob, Rob, I'll ask you to touch on this game because you're the only team that's left. So Avon going against Hoban. We know that as much as Highland can't seem to get by Avon in the playoffs, Avon similarly cannot get by Hoban in the playoffs. The biggest difference is that Nolan Good is playing this game. I think that's a very, very big difference. But even that said, they still held their own really, really well last year with the backup quarterback, with I believe is Coach Elder's son.
Yeah, Blake Elder was quarterback, I believe, in that game.
So Nolan Good's playing in this game. Obviously, Maxey. You think about some of the things that they did against Highland. Now that's on tape. It's on tape for Hoban to dissect. The first play of the game, genius. Nolan Good lines up as the running back. No one's expecting him to take a handoff and go down the sidelines. So that's kind of off the table now because Hoban knows that that's a possibility. So what does Avon need to do to beat Hoban and get to their first state championship game?
I think they need to dominate the line of scrimmage first off. I mean, they're going to have to be able to run the ball. I think you're going to have a little bit more of a balanced attack, I guess, depending on the game script and what the weather's supposed to be like, because it looks like it's going to be cold. There could be possible snow there. So obviously, if that's the case, you're going to have to be able to run the football. But I know Nolan Good can throw in, and I saw it against Wadsworth. I mean, he still passed with ease, and it was pouring down rain. So I think depending on I'm sure they're looking at game film from Hoban, and last week a lot of running. They have to contain that running back. I mean, we talked about it. The kid is talented, over 260 yards rushing last week. They're going to have the Avon Eagles defense are going to have their hands full, but as long as they can contain him, they have a good secondary to stop that pass. You have to contain that running back. I think if you could contain him, he might get over 100 yards, but you just can't let him get chunks and chunks of yards and get those solid drives. And Avon's offense, we know they have a good offensive line. You have a lot of dynamic running backs all over the place. It's not one running back. I mean, Matt Maxey's a wide receiver, and he's taking the handoff. So you just don't know who's going to get the handoff. They're going to have to really win the line of scrimmage. They're going to have to open it up and maybe surprise them a little bit. Run the football successfully and then open up the pass game and surprise them here and there. But you got to pull out all stops in this one, especially knowing what has happened in the past. Obviously, the past is in the past. But Avon, they have the depth here, but so does Hoban. So I think they're very evenly matched. Who's going to make the mistakes and the turnovers and capitalize on those? You got to limit the mistakes in this game. And I know Avon's very good with the ball and not doing that. They have a good kicker. Remember, Owen Warwick, last week, he didn't miss a kick, extra point. This kid can kick from all over. I think that's going to be a dynamic weapon. As we remember last year, it came down to some kicks. So they have weapons, and they have what it takes to win. Let's see what happens in this one. I think they can get it done. It's going to be a fun one to watch. So if you're an Avon fan or you're just enjoy the Southwestern Conference, try to travel up to Akron and support the Avon Eagles, because I think it's going to be a great game.
Hey, real quick, fellas. I mean, I saw Hoban live, a couple weeks ago when they beat Nordonia. And, Rob, you kind of mentioned it, dominate the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have to do that on the defensive end. The past 2 weeks for Hoban, because of their offense in that running game, they've been able to keep high-powered, fast-paced offensive teams kind of off their groove with Nordonia and Walsh. So I would consider Avon a high-paced, highly efficient offense. And what better way to beat them than to keep them off the field? So it's going to be really important for Avon's defense to really take away Brayton Feaster. That dude, again, is a stud, having a really good playoff run here. You're going to need to be really challenging on the defensive end, make some plays on offense, keep their offense off the field as well, sustain drives. And if it's going to be cold and possibly snowy, that's going to only help, I believe, the defense in this game. Now, going back to the old stadium issue, last year these two teams played. They played at Byers Field in Parma, and I know that sustained some damage in August from some storms, but they reopened and they played. Why couldn't they play there again and have another rematch as they did last year? Ooh, that's a question that kind of burns the under Ed's skin apparently. But yeah, it's very interesting choice of selection in this game. We'll see. Teams have to play on the field. Let's see how big of an advantage it is.
Byers Field actually is being used for a Division 5 state semifinal match between Liberty Center and Canfield South Range. So that is a what it does prove, is your point, is that is a stadium that is capable of obviously hosting a state semifinal matchup, which it has been hosting games of this caliber for many years. Many years.
I also wanted to point out, just real quick, just kind of put a point on what Rob mentioned. I think it's going to be important for Avon in this game to understand that throughout this season, the Avon Eagles have had pretty much everything happen to them. They've been in close games. They've been in blowouts. They've had situations where they've had to come back and win. They've had situations where, players got hurt, players didn't play well, weather games. So, again, I think if you're Avon going into this game, you have to, one, rely on your experience of this year, and number two, continue to be, to handle adversity. Understand that things are not going to go your way, and it's how you respond to them. I think Avon, more so than last year. Avon last year was a dominant team, got snake bit at the end with the injuries. Now, Avon's had everything happen, including that injury, including having to play Hoban without probably one of their best weapons in Nolan Good. Now they're in a situation where they've weathered all of that. They've weathered a full season, and they've been successful. And I think it's a swagger that you see with this Avon team. They believe in each other. They understand the assignment, and they're winning, and they're being successful. And that comes down to coaching. That also comes down to having that chip on their shoulder. And now they have an even bigger chip on their shoulder, because now they have to go into quote-unquote enemy territory, a true road game, and rely on each other to win this game. And I think Avon is setting up for I'm betting on an Avon win here. I'm not betting, but I'm
recreational purposes
Avon,
only.
I think yes, I'm betting. I'm telling you right now, I have a feeling about this Avon team. They are doing things so well, and they're responding in such a positive manner and in such a business manner that I think they've been working to this game all year. Don't let anyone fool you. And I think that's going to show up Friday night.
I think you're right about that. As I mentioned before, Highland has essentially been trying to gear up to beating Avon. Avon's doing the same thing to try to take out Hoban. And both of those matchups continually seem to happen over the last few years. So this is going to be a great game between Avon and Hoban. Again, that game will be played Friday night. That game will be at Akron, University of Akron Info-Station Stadium. Real quick, Division III state semifinals. Division 12, the Region 12 champion, London, undefeated. They will take on the Regional 11 champion, Bishop Waterson, also undefeated. That game will be played at Tees Valley. Ursuline, and the number 1 seed from Division 3 Region 9, will take on Toledo Central Catholic, the champions of Division 3 Region 10. They are the defending state champions. That game will be played in Elyria. Last and certainly not least, at least for what we're talking about today, Division 4 state semifinals. the Cincinnati Taft from Region 16. They will take on Ned and Hutton Indian Valley. That game will be played at historic Crew Stadium. Perkins will take on Glenville at Clyde High School in Clyde.
That's going to be a good one.
That game is going to be excellent. Glenville defeated Perkins last year on their way to their second straight state championship. Glenville had to play the defending Division 5 state champions, the Perry Pirates, in their Division 3 or Division 4 Region 13 championship game, and it took overtime, but they got the win, 12-6 in overtime over Perry. So they already had to defeat a state champion to get to this point. And until someone knocks them off in Division 4, I cannot see anyone. I'm gonna pick Glenville to win until someone beats them in Division 4. Their only losses are to Division 1 or Division 2 teams up to this point. All right, so that's one
question. And yeah, I do have a quick question, Ed, because when I was putting together the PowerPoint, I literally thought that this was a typo on the brackets of OHSAA. What is the name of the town for Indian Valley or the area?
I have it as GNADEN. So I assume the G is silent. So I had Ned Indian Valley.
I would like to on behalf of Sports on Tap and me, I would like to apologize to whatever it's called. I'm sure it's a lovely town in Ohio, but that name is that's tough. That's a tough name. So you are referred to as Indian Valley on here only because I didn't want to take a chance at misspelling or having us mispronounce that particular name. Thought it was a typo. I got caught last year by OHSAA a couple times with these names.
Oh, that's
I just made an executive decision.
Hold on a sec.
So
let me look at Joe Idle. I might trust him a little bit more.
And while you're looking that up, Ed, just a reminder that if you go to our website, sportsontappodcast.com, we have a full list of all the state semifinal games that will be played this Friday. Not just the ones for the important, divisions that we cover, but all of them. It's on our website.
Yeah,
cannot agree with you more.
Well done.
All right, so that is what we got.
Guys,
yeah, please.
It was a good cold night, and I also want to echo Josh Mako. Sorry,
Mako.
Yes. The jacket was phenomenal, kept me warm and toasty. But I share Josh's sentiment. When I got into my car, I looked down and there was a puddle on my seat, and I was like, "Where'd that come from?" And it was the jacket. So it does a great job of keeping the water off of me, but it does a better job of just becoming a sponge and having to be wrung out. So I had to wring it out in my driveway while shivering.
Yeah, that thing though, it repels water very nicely, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on it, especially at games where they can see the nice Sports on Tap logo on the back of it with the website.
SportsOnTapPodcast.com.
That's right. I mean, it was huge this year. I mean, especially in the cold weather. It did the job. It looked good. Got a lot of compliments on it. So, it's up right now. If you go to Mehco.com, MEHCO.com, visit their website. You can check all their gear out and get your logo, or if you have a school that needs a bunch of stuff done, they create online stores as well. It's pretty interesting. It's a lot of good stuff. They've been doing it a long time. Steven, who I've dealt with for, 10, 20 years now, has him and his family have owned it, so they've done a great job.
Someone who was not outside, but was also covering some sports for Sports on Tap. Let's shift over real quick to Dr. Hoops.
Oh, yeah.
Noah Jacobson. He kicked off the Sports on Tap high school basketball coverage. He was at the Brunswick versus North Ridgeville girls basketball game on Friday night. Noah, if you want to quickly talk about that before we move on to other business.
All right, well, thank you, Ed. And fortunately, I was inside, not outside, with Josh and Sean on a rainy Friday night. So I was very fortunate to be inside Brunswick's basketball arena to open up the first game of the SOT featured basketball game of the season, and it was a great start for Brunswick. I mean, they jumped out to a 7-0 run to begin the game to take the lead 11-2, and they would just roll on the rest of the way. North Ridgeville had a couple times where they were trying to come back into this team, but Brunswick, they shot a lot of threes in this game. I feel like Brunswick really just controlled the game the rest of the way. Offense was really pacing the way. Defense just kind of did its part and did the rest of the game as Brunswick would open up the girls' basketball season with a 51-3 win over North Ridgeville. I caught up with Brunswick's girl basketball head coach Angela Fink and Josh's niece, Grace Wilcom, to talk about how the win and how they will play. Right now, they are actually playing tonight and that, but again, I was able to caught up with them after the win and see how they did on their performance. You can check out the interviews and the full highlight coverage at our podcast at sportsontap.podcast.com for the full coverage. Unfortunately, I will not be covering a game this week. I will be fully rested, getting ready for my Thanksgiving meal, boys, getting that turkey ready to go and that. But, but make sure you stay posted for all the games that I will be doing this year for the basketball coverage. Again, it was great being there Friday night in Brunswick to open up the basketball season, but the work doesn't stop here at Sports on Tap for the basketball coverage. It keeps going on, and it will keep going on forever and for this season.
Did Josh's niece say anything about how she dominated Josh on the court last summer?
No chance. No chance.
Whoa,
no chance.
I bet.
He's got a family Thanksgiving, Rob. Don't be starting stuff. He's got to go to Thanksgiving.
No, don't worry, Sean. There's no stuff to start. I put her in her place long time ago.
All right. Okay.
Oh, well, I'd love to see it. Let's see that battle, Josh, Jeffy. Let's see that. Let's see those skills.
In the words of the late, great Toby Keith, you ain't as good as you once was. But you're a good one.
Better, Sean. Better.
And
I could still hold my own even after a few adult beverages in the heat. Grace, I call her Gracie. I've known her obviously her whole life, but she knows. She knows. We were playing a little one-on-one. I almost threw up afterwards, but that's okay.
Oh,
okay.
Man.
All right.
Minor detail.
Yeah, exactly.
Good effort. Great effort.
Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about where we're going to be. Where we are all going to be next Wednesday night. It's hard to believe that we're getting into it already. Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League action is going to be live on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. We are going to be at Elyria to see Elyria Catholic hosting Normandy in a Blue Division matchup. We're looking forward to seeing that. We're looking forward to seeing that matchup. That'll be our first of many high school hockey live stream games. So we'll be on the call. We'll have graphics. We'll have multi-camera. Anything you want to see about if you want to check out a great hockey product on midweek on a Wednesday night, make sure you follow us on YouTube. Get the notifications again when we are about to go live, and we are going to start our Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League coverage there. And then about 2 weeks after that, we will be at Mentor to see a Red Division matchup between Mentor and Hudson. So those are the two games we have before the year turns. To get the full schedule, make sure you follow us on. Make sure you check us out at sportsontap.podcast.com to get the full schedule of where we are going to be. We will have a high school hockey preview show as well after the football season ends. So we'll talk about the various the different divisions, and go through and really set you up for the high school hockey season as we ramp up towards Barron Cup, which will be in February. That's when our coverage will really ramp up, and we will have a lot of games being broadcast live from that venue in Brooklyn, Ohio. All right, I will start off with a shout out. I'll tell you what, this Patriot Lions team, they keep finding a way. The number 5 seed Patriot Lions in Northern Virginia, they defeat the number 1 seed Battlefield by a score of 10-7. They avenge an earlier defeat. They advance to the regional championship game, their second one in 3 years. If they get the win this time, this will be their first ever regional championship. They actually get to host this game. They're going to take on number 6 seed Colonial Forge. Colonial Forge also pull off a few upsets. But as a result, the number 5 seed hosts a regional championship game. I don't really see that happen too often. We'll see if Patriot can avenge a loss to Colonial Forge, 35-28 there. From all intents and purposes, from what I've heard from my friend, his son Jack definitely took a little bit of a beating, but he held his own as best he could. Patriot battled injuries. They were missing a lot of players, and for them to defeat the number 1 seed is huge. So congratulations to Patriot. Good luck to them this week against Colonial Forge. Josh, you got anyone you want to shout out this week?
Oh, yeah, I just want to shout out. I'm going to shout out Kenston, Mayfield, and Medina making the move in 2026 to the Suburban League. So Suburban League is getting real strong. It's going to be interesting to see how things line up, but I'll give a shout out to them. Also, secondary shout out and good luck to all the winter sports athletes that are starting their seasons. Basketball, hockey, you name it. Winter sports is wrestling out there. Good luck to your seasons. Noah will be out there for basketball coverage. He'll be all over the place, so make sure to look out for him. Say hello to him.
Dr. Hoops.
We'll be at the local rinks here over the next couple months, ending it all. Barron Cup will be here before you know it, fellas. I mean, February is not that far away, so we're getting geared up for that. It's just one after another after another. We're looking forward to it.
Let's go.
No doubt about that. All right, short and sweet, just like we promised. So we will be back again. We're TBD. We're looking at either Sunday night or maybe earlier on Monday, with respect to the Browns playing on a rare Monday night game, coming off of a rare victory. Actually, not so rare as of late. They've been pretty good against the Steelers at home. But the Browns will be on next Monday night, and we certainly don't want to interrupt that. So again, follow us on all our social media accounts. Find out when we're going to be on next week. We will. We're looking to have at least a coach or two talk about their season next week, in addition to recapping the state semifinal games and giving a preview of the state championship games. All right, stick around from a word for our sponsors. This has been the high school football recap show presented by Raymond Felton State Farm Insurance. For Rob Troutman, Dr. Hoops, Noah Jacobson, Josh Jeffy, and Professor Hype Sean Duffy, my name is Ed Dick. This is Sports on Tap. We'll see you on the other side.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
We've got the experience, the passion, and the beach to make your event a smash hit. Whether it's a romantic wedding, a lively sports venue, or a rocking high school dance, Troutland Entertainment has you covered. Contact them at 330-414-4261 or email them at troutlandent@gmail.com. That's troutlandent@gmail.com. Elevate your brand with Mako Custom Printing. Mako Custom Printing specializes in creating high-quality spiritware, corporate apparel, and promotional products that make your brand stand out. Whether you need custom printing, graphic design, or an online store for your school or business, we've got you covered. Make a statement with Mako Custom Printing. Visit us at mako.com to start your custom printing journey today. That's MEHCO.com.